Hi, good morning. My name is Kike, your host today on the podcast White Reflections by Hadufe. White Reflections by Hadufe is a podcast that delves into the complexities of life and modern day family dynamics. As you all know, what we try to do on the show is we try to bring people with real life experiences to come share the experience with us. Perhaps somebody going through something similar can benefit from it. We also try to bring in experts to share the wealth of knowledge with us. Perhaps also somebody going through something similar can benefit from it. Today on the show, we shall be talking about orphanages in Nigeria and its many challenges. Joining me on the show today is Mrs. Oladimo, the owner, the founder of Ready Writer House of Restoration Foundation. I believe it's a foundation that takes care of vulnerable kids and orphans also in the society. I've been to the orphanage and I love the fact that it's well organized, and other orphanages that I've been to in Nigeria, yours seem to be a very well organized, neat, and well accounted for orphanage. Thank you so much for doing what you do, and thanks for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. So, Mrs. Oladimo, if I may ask, what inspired your journey into having an orphanage?
Okay, it started as a dream, basically by my sister, my elder sister, and then myself. She courted me into the idea. So what birthed it was the fact that our parents had passed on for quite a while now, about 26 years ago. And then I was a teenager at the time. My sister was just about 20, 21, thereabouts. And so, they left for us inheritance, a house in particular in Ibadan. And we had tenants living in the house. They weren't paying bills. The house was just there lying fallow. So we thought, okay, what can we do with this property? And so we decided to give it out to people who actually would need it and can benefit from the property. And so we okay, she brought up the idea of starting an orphanage, and that was how the journey started.
Wow. So it was actually an inheritance that you decided to make use of in that regard.
Yes.
And a very beautiful one at that. I mean, when I got there, I didn't know that it was an orphanage until somebody actually directed me there. And I remember seeing a very, small baby.
She's grown now.
She's grown now.
Yes, she's about 1.5 years old now.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So if I may ask, how do you get your children?
The children come in through the Ministry of Women Affairs.
Wow.
So we have documentations for every child in the home. Because if you take up a child that you don't have proper documentation for, then it is regarded as child trafficking. And of course that is punishable under the law. So when we are to take up children, we go through the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion.
Okay. So for example, this very small baby, she was a baby when I came. She was about 4 months?
About 4 months. When you met her, she came into the home when she was about 2 months old.
Where was she found, please?
She was brought into the ministry by her father because the mother had passed on and he didn't have capacity to take on the child. So he wanted her to stay in a place where she could be taken care of for the time when he settles down, and then can take her back in.
Oh, okay, that's fantastic. So, I mean, you have kids who would still reunite with their family members.
Definitely. So we have both orphans, total orphans. We have those that are on temporal accommodation.
So I remember visiting your orphanage. I mean, when I saw this little girl, I think she was about 4 months old now.
Yes, she was 4 months old when you met her.
Okay.
But she was actually 2 months old when she came into us.
Wow. So how did you get her?
How was she found? We were called upon at the ministry to pick her up because the mother had passed on after delivery, and then the father was finding it difficult taking care of the child, and so he wanted to put her somewhere where she could be cared for pending the time he's able to settle down and then take back the child into the home. So she's actually on temporal accommodation, so to say. So we have 3 different categories of children. We have those that are on temporal accommodation. We have those who are permanent orphans, so to say. That's both parents are late and then they don't have any family members to care for them. And then we also have vulnerable children. Vulnerable children are those on the streets. They have nobody to account for them. So they are just there lying fallow on the street. So we see them and then pick them up. Not pick them up and bring them home. We pick them up, take them to the ministry for proper documentations before they are assigned to the home. So they could be assigned to us. They could be assigned to other homes. So it depends on the cases, so to say.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Oladiro, I would like to have been to, a lot of orphanages in Ibadan. Let me put it that way. And to be honest, each time I go, I visit orphanages in Ibadan, I'm always devastated. I'm always devastated. And that's the truth of the matter. With the state of things, the poor conditions where these vulnerable children live. And I remember asking one of, the carers what the major problem was with there was a particular home I visited sometimes back, and I did ask what the problem was, because when I got the record book, I realized that I was the 10th person visiting that day, and it was in the morning. And I was surprised that the kids weren't looking like people were coming in to give them things. So I want to talk about the carers. Okay. How professional are they most of the time?
All right. I would like to answer by saying that staffing can be difficult for orphanages, especially getting the people who have the same mindset as you are. Because if you have a vision and you don't have people to drive it for you, it's a disaster waiting to happen. So having people and then training also helps you a lot. And then also administration. So one thing that we do at our place is, I am on ground. Thankfully, I am one of the directors and also a trustee. So I am around at the home, and so I see for myself what is going on. And then some homes who don't have their EDs or their directors on ground happen to just get staff who are not so trustworthy. And so sometimes they cut away with things that are supposed to be used for the children. I'm not saying all orphanages now. I'm saying some. It does happen. It really does happen. I can't lie about that. Okay. But we also still have some whom the staff members are trustworthy and are truthful. Because being a truthful person also goes a long way in determining whether you steal or you actually use what is meant for the kids. For them.
Yes. So when it comes to staffing, I'd want to say that from my own point of view, it's a job, it's a calling.
Yes, it is.
That was where I was actually getting to. I wanted you to touch on that.
Okay.
It's a calling. It's more of a calling than, a job that you have to do and get paid for.
Yes.
And if you don't have that calling, I don't think you will be able to function well, because you are taking care of other people's children, vulnerable kids who do not have.
And whom we are not even sure will be able to pay back.
Yes.
Because that's another thing. Something with Nigerian, I don't know why that happens a lot. One thing with the Nigerians is they always want to have for themselves and themselves alone. So it's the me first mentality that puts us into that box corner. Because when something is brought, I know that this book is meant for these children, and then all I'm thinking about is, whom can I give? And the person can see me as, this person loves me, or this person likes me, this person has brought something for me. And so I would rather take this book and then give it to somebody else than actually use it for the people whom are supposed to benefit from it. And that is bad. There is no other word for bad except for bad.
So do you actually organize trainings for your staff?
Yes, we do. And one thing also that we benefit from is from the associations that we have joined.
Okay.
Because so we have the Child Protection Network.
I was going to get to that.
Yes, we have three they're not compulsory, but they are important. For me, I see them as compulsory. As far as you are a homeowner, you're running an orphanage or a shelter, you should join those associations because we benefit a lot from them. So one of them is Child Protection Network. The other one is ASWAN. That is Association for Home and for Home Operators of Nigeria.
Okay.
And then we have AON.
Okay.
AON is Association for Orphans and Vulnerable Children of Nigeria.
Fantastic.
So in those associations, we hold monthly meetings, and then we also have trainings that are organized. So they sometimes invite people maybe from outside the state, within the state. It depends on what exactly the vision for the month is. So we hold meetings, they do trainings, and then we are supposed to, sometimes it depends on the kind of training. If the training has to do with caregivers, you're supposed to bring along your caregiver.
Okay.
One or two of your caregivers as a representative. They attend the meeting and then they get back to the organization and step down, do something that is called a step down. So that step down is like a retraining for those back in the organization.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, okay. So it's quite beneficial.
Funding, Mrs. Oladiran. I know that's a very difficult one for most homeowners, and you find out that at the end of the day, the vision is there, but sustaining it over time. I've seen a lot of people reach out for funding, for funds, for sponsorship and all of that. Yes. So how easy or difficult has it been for you as a homeowner?
Well, as a homeowner, I would say God has been faithful. And then God has just been faithful because, apart from personal funds from the family, being myself, my elder sister, and my brother. So we are the main sponsors because, of course, we have the vision for the home. And so we are compulsory donors. And then we also have individuals, we have some organizations, we have churches and persons coming. Like there was a time somebody came in, she said she was celebrating her 50th birthday. And she's actually a matron in the health center where we take immunizations. So that was where she got to know about us. So she came to the house and then she brought funds, she brought food stuff. And then we've also had individuals like that working. We've had churches, the church where the children attend also because they go to church. They also support. And then we are open for international funds and all of that. But we found it difficult getting such because of the people who have tinted the image.
That's it. I was coming to that.
Of orphanages in Nigeria. So actually getting hold of international funding is quite difficult, but it's possible. Because some people go through the organizations, those three organizations I mentioned earlier. So some persons can say, we have a $10,000 fund that we want to release to orphanages. So they come through the associations and then the association disburses to faithful members. Faithful members in the terms of attending meetings, faithful members in the terms of paying their annual dues, faithful member in the terms of actually doing the work, because we also have task force members. So they can just bust into your home anytime unannounced. So they come around, they check your facility. What do you have? And is the place as neat as you claim it to be? Is it as good? Is it up to standard? They check your toys, they check the clothing, the arrangement of the house, the books the children are reading. And all of that. So they go through all of those things, and then they also go through our documents.
So are your children in private schools or public?
Yes, they are in private school. Wow. By God's grace.
That's a beautiful one. So, Mrs. Oladiran, I'd like to ask, do you give out your children for adoption?
No, that is an offense, ma'am. It is punishable under the law.
Thank you very much. I asked because I know for most orphanages, it's a business venture, right? So they get these kids and then they give them out for adoption.
it shouldn't be so.
It shouldn't be so. So
Yes.
please, can you buttress on that?
Okay, so if you want to adopt a child, the proper channel is to go back to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social
Okay.
Inclusion, the Child Welfare Department. And then there you obtain a form from the government, which you pay for, I think it's about 10,000 naira, depending on the number of children you want. So you obtain the form, and then you have personal details and all of that they would ask, and then they would come to your house, check your environment, ask 1 or 2 questions, and then if they find you, what's the word now? If they find you qualified, so to say, they find you
Qualified in what?
qualified
Financially?
financially, emotionally, and also your family members' acceptance, because acceptability of those children is also important.
So what do you mean by family members? Your spouse?
Your spouse, one, and then the immediate family also.
Okay.
Because these children, whether you like it or not, would have to mix with your family. Your extended family. If you don't have children before, or you have children, they are coming to integrate, because it means they are becoming a legal member of your family.
So a thorough investigation has to be carried out
before the children can be given to you. And then when they are even given to you, you have a 6 months probation time.
Okay.
Where they come in and out, checking up on the child. Is the child settled in? Is the child accepted?
So for 6 months, it's not yours automatically?
It's not yours automatically. So even after the 6 months, the baby is still not yours.
Okay.
Yes. The baby becomes yours legally if the child has successfully stayed with you for up to 2 years without complaints. Because even we as homeowners, when we take the children for visitation, because they could just call us up one day and they say, bring so and so child.
That is in your care.
Yes, that is in our care. So we have to take the child back to the secretariat, and then without us, they take the child into the office, and then they ask questions. What they discuss with the children, we don't know. So they could ask the child, are you being beaten? Are you being well catered for? How many times do you eat? What types of food do you eat? Do you go to school? They just ask random questions. And these children don't know how to lie.
Of course, because they are young and vulnerable.
So they want to tell everything. Especially when they have somebody that is listening to them. They go all out. Even the things that you think they don't notice,
they do.
These children notice everything. And then, so after 2 years, and then the child doesn't have there's no bad reports about you or the treatment the child is receiving in your care, then the child can officially become yours.
Wow, Ms. Solagio. Now I want to ask, do you pick kids up from the streets? I mean, street kids.
We've done, myself, and because we have a social worker attached to us.
Okay.
She's a member of our staff.
Okay.
So she has done rescue for about 3 children now. So there was one she did at under the bridge at Iwo Road. So she took the child to the secretariat. After
How old was this child?
The boy was about 7 years old. So she took him to the secretariat, and then he was placed at, I wouldn't like to mention the name of the home.
No problem.
He was placed at another home. The boy's name is Tunde.
Okay.
So Tunde is a random name.
He's in the random name.
So,
that's fine.
And then she also, she was able to rescue. There was a lady she was called upon to see also. The lady was mentally derailed.
Okay.
And she was having a 2-month-old child.
Wow.
With her, a biological child. So she pet talked the lady and then took her to the secretariat. From the secretariat, the woman was taken to a home where they take care of mentally derailed women.
And the baby?
The baby is not with us. The baby was taken to another
So
home.
who decides who the baby stays with? The home?
At the secretariat.
At the secretariat.
It's where it is decided. That's because all the homes have their capacities.
Okay, so what's the capacity of your home?
We have capacity to take up 4 babies.
At a time?
At a time, yes.
Okay.
And we have capacity for 6 girls and 4 boys.
Wow. So you can't exceed that number.
Except we are able to increase or extend
accommodation.
Yes, our accommodation.
Okay, so this woman you that was rescued over
Yes.
the bridge.
So she was she's mentally derailed, but she had a 2-month-old baby with her. So my sister, I call her my sister, the social worker, because in our home we're all family. We have Mommy G, that is myself, and then we have other aunties and uncles. All right. So that's also to help the children stabilize in their minds.
Wow. So there's a family setting.
So it's a family setting going on.
I was going to.
Yes. And so this particular woman I was talking about, so she was taken to the secretariat, and then at the secretariat the baby was collected from her and placed in a separate home, and then the woman was taken to a hospital where they take care of challenged women like that. So hopefully when she gets better, she'll be reunited with her baby, and then they can go back home. Yes.
So she'll be given the baby back?
Yes, eventually.
Eventually.
Yes.
That's, given the fact that she has a stable,
yes, and then the family also shows up.
Okay.
So if family shows up, and then we can be sure that the child will be in safe hands.
Okay.
Then the child can be returned.
Yes. Okay.
Sir.
So for somebody like me, can I pick up, if I see somebody, if I, perhaps find a vulnerable child on the street, what can I do? What will I do?
The best thing for you to do is to take the child to the Ministry of Women Affairs.
Okay, so how do I rescue? Can you give us rescue tips?
Rescue tips: you talk to the child, one, and then in talking to the child also you have to be careful, because one thing we found out is, especially for those under the bridges and in the markets, they have people that are watching over them, and these people extort these children. So when these children work, some of them help you carry bags and loads, and then they get money, and then these extorters at the end of the day collect money from these children and then give them sleeping spaces under the bridge.
So do we have people picking random kids up from the streets and using them as means, of extorting,
yes,
the
we
citizens?
do. We have.
Have you rescued anyone like that?
There's a case of one woman that is at the secretariat. She had been taken up twice now.
Twice?
Yes, she had been picked up twice. The first time they noticed her, she was begging alms with a particular number of children, about 4 children, and then she was picked up. And then it was discovered that 2 of those
these guys that those children are hers.
Were ours, yes. It was discovered at the time they were picked up that just 2 out of these children were hers biologically, and then the other 2 were not her children. But somehow she got a lawyer, and the case.
She got a lawyer.
Yes. Funny things happen. And then the lawyer gave documents. Of course, they cannot hold her after seeing the documents and all of that. So, and then she was, after I think about 2 years afterwards, she was picked up again with the same set of children. And that was when it was actually discovered that she was under a guise. And so she's locked up now, waiting judgment.
Wow.
And then
Where are the children?
2 of them are with us. 2 out of the children are with us. The other 2, I don't know where they are.
So is there a way, is there a program or a facility where you rehabilitate these children? For example, those 2 kids that are with you, I would think they should be rehabilitated first.
Well, it's really
before bringing them in.
It depends on
because of the psychological,
on the stability of the children.
Okay.
Some of these children.
How can you determine that?
Talking to the children goes a long way.
Okay.
When you talk with the child just opens up. They are not hiding anything from you because they don't see themselves having anything to lose, especially between ages. Maybe say 4, those who can communicate well and reasonably, and age 10.
So you just pick these kids in and you don't rehabilitate them? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
So when we get to the secretariat, they ask these children questions by social workers. Now the social workers are trained to judge the mental stability as they're talking with you.
Okay.
They ask you questions, you're able to respond. They ask another one, you're able to respond. And then if your response are in order, of course we have a range of answers.
Okay, that you expect.
That we expect. So if these children are able to answer you well, coordinatedly, then you know that their psychology has not been tampered with. Okay, so they are placed in the home. While in the home, that is why it is important for every home to have a social worker attached to them. So while in the home, the social worker continues psychotherapy with the children.
Beautiful.
So maybe in the morning you call them, can you remember? Do you know? Just ask them random questions, and then to see the extent to which these children have been either damaged or controlled, so to say. So if we discover that these children need more, then we go back to the secretariat with a report about so child needs. We do have recommendations. So if we think that the child needs a medical attention or anything, then I recommend. And then there are some special homes, depending on, we have homes for disabled children. We have some homes that are for mentally derailed children. So different types of. There's a lot going on in the community. So
I remember an incident I witnessed sometimes back. This small boy had escaped from where the mother took him.
Okay.
And then somebody found him on the street with his the few clothes that he was able to escape with, and then brought him in to a house. And on interrogation, the boy revealed that the mom took him to live with an old woman, and the old woman was maltreating him and all of that, so he ran away.
Okay.
And that was how he found himself on the street very close to this woman's house. And another thing we found out was he had a phone. I think he had a phone, or he gave a phone number,
okay,
which happens to be his mom's phone number. Apparently they had been looking for him, searching for him all over the place. So when we called the phone, the mom picked up, and the woman said, "Oh, okay, so your son is here with me. I mean, he was rescued right, beside my house." And on interrogation, we realized that you put him with somebody else, and this woman has been maltreating him. That was what the boy said. So when the mother came, she came almost immediately. At first, was scolding the boy
for running away.
Scolding the boy and saying, no, that she was taking her son and all of that. But this woman was so adamant on taking it further with her, and said she would report her, to the necessary authorities and everything. So she started to cry.
Okay.
She started crying. She was, weeping, and said, "Oh, okay, so she would not take the boy back to the woman's house. She would take care of the boy. She would do this, she would do that." I wouldn't know what,
what I would say about that is, people have found the country to be difficult. I won't say it's difficult. Of course, it can be challenging. But every challenge has a solution if you seek the right one. Okay, so for some of these parents that do such things, what I can say she has done is child labor.
Child labor.
Yes, exactly. She must have given the child to the woman to collect some money. Okay, maybe to feed herself, and then other siblings of the children. So we find some of such cases also. A lot of these children in public schools are being placed in other people's homes because their parents can't take care of them. This is wrong anyway. So we get to rescue some of these children. That's also part of the rescue we had done once.
But I heard that most of these street kids, they go back on the streets.
They go back on the streets because they get easy money.
They are used to getting.
They are used to getting money and then handling money, buying things they want, not what you give them.
That was why I asked earlier the psychological effect of being on the street. After a long time, they've been exposed to all of this.
Now, the children on the streets can also be classified into two groups.
Okay.
Those who are the dependents and those who are the independent.
Okay.
So, like the children I told you, I mentioned earlier, those ones are classified under the dependent vulnerable children.
Okay.
Because this woman doesn't leave them to go beg for money. They follow her, and then she begs for money on their behalf.
On their behalf. So they're dependent.
Okay, so they are dependent on her. The independent ones are those ones whom the so-called street older boys extort money from. So those ones are used to handling money. So they come, they carry load for you for 1 or 2 persons. They get maybe 500 naira, and then they keep 200 naira for themselves. They use that to eat, so that when the bigger boys come at night, it's just the remaining 300 naira, because you can't tell them you don't have any money.
What would they do?
What have you been doing since morning?
Wow.
They can get beaten or not get a place to sleep.
To sleep.
Yes.
Under the bridge.
Under the bridge. Or in shops, different places. You need to go out at night and then you see these things for yourself. But it's also difficult because these bigger boys, they are using them as money bags, because they know once they let them loose in the morning, they at times some of them come back with 1,000 naira. So if you have like 20 boys under you and then you're collecting 1,000 naira from 20 boys, that's 20,000
naira
every day. And then you just give them maybe 200 naira for food.
So is there a solution to this problem?
There is a solution, and that solution, we can't expect the government to do everything for us. We are the government. That's the way I see it.
Absolutely.
Okay? So it starts from me. It starts from you. It starts from every individual on the road. So when you see something going wrong, you should speak up. Some people just see it and then they take away their eyes as though it's none of my business. It's not my child. I'm not saying.
Thank you.
It's very wrong and bad.
So when you say take it up, how do you take it up? We're talking about rescue tips the other time. So how do you take it up?
Rescue tips, yes. So for the children under the bridge, the independent children under the bridge,
you don't go there.
You don't go near them. If you want to go near them, you go near them with style. It could take up to 2 months. It could take 3 months. You have to become friends with these children first. And then you need to build their trust so that they can open up to you.
And confide.
So maybe I see a particular child today, I'm passing by, and then I see him carrying load for 1 or 2 persons. Another time I am passing by, I see him. I can call him and say, hey, come, pick this load for me. That way I've gained a kind of, he marks my face. And then another time I go again, hey, I saw you the last time. And then you build up friendship with such a child and confidence. So over time, you get to speak with these children, and then, do you know you can leave the streets? Do you know you can have a better life? You know, you have to convince the child to want more. You don't just go and then grab the child by the hand. You could be accused of kidnapping also. So it takes a whole lot. A whole lot, yes. So it starts, that's why I said it starts with every individual wanting to help another person.
So brighten the corner where you have all the time. Thank you so much, Mrs. Oladiro. So very quickly, I want to ask, how many orphanages do we have in Ibadan?
In Ibadan, I'm sure we have well over 50.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure the exact number, because like we said, this also brings us back to the fact that those ones who
not government owned.
Okay,
private owned.
Yes, private owned. We have quite enough. We have more than 50. That I'm very sure, because in our association we have more than 50 registered.
So we have well over 50.
So we should have well over 50. For those who just do bombazing in the sense that, somebody, I'm expecting some money. Okay, let me put up 5 or 10 children and say I'm running an orphanage, and then somebody just comes,
take pictures.
They see the children, take pictures, put on the internet, like that. They get funds, and that's the end of it. They swipe the money.
They swipe the money, and what happens to the orphanage?
They close it down or wait for another business. So sometimes they could even go to private school. Okay, I'll give you 1,000 naira, I'll give you 2,000 naira, just come, stay here, let's just take pictures. And then these street children, they don't care as far as they have money to eat. Stipends. And that's the worst thing, because you are destroying the future of these children, and this is the future of our country. So it keeps going up and down in the same cycle, over and over
again.
Yes.
So, like, how many vulnerable kids do we have on the streets?
Streets,
can you put a figure to that?
Not accounted for.
Not accounted for.
Yes, only the ones that have been documented. And then, like you said also, some of the children come in and then they run out.
They run out, yes.
Yes.
I've seen many cases like that.
Yeah.
They go back to the
streets. There are so many of them. Because they've been...
And after a while, what happens? They give up on them.
You give up on them because you can't force them. Especially when they come in and then... Because you're also afraid of them influencing those that have decided to settle in.
Exactly.
So once they say they are going, it's better you let them be. And then you keep going back to them, trying to reorient them, trying to speak with them until you can get their commitment to want to stay.
Otherwise, it's better
Otherwise, it's a waste of time.
Thank you, Mrs. Oladero, for coming on the show. I really, really, really appreciate it. So, I mean, in a nutshell, something to take home when it comes to orphanages and, orphanages, foundations in Nigeria.
We have quite a lot that are genuine.
Yes. The many challenges.
Yes, the many challenges. There are so many challenges. We keep overcoming them by the grace of God, Another funny thing is when we were going to start, we're going to do... So
first and foremost, let me ask again.
Okay.
If you want to have a foundation and you want to start a foundation like yours, like an orphanage, what do you do? How do you go about it?
Okay, first thing is to register the name of the organization with the CAC.
CAC, okay.
Yes. And then after you've done that, when your registration is out, you open a bank account.
Okay.
You register with FIRS for your TIN number.
Okay.
You register with EFCC for your school certificate. And then you can open a bank account. When you're done with that, then you go to the Ministry of Women Affairs. You pick up a form and then you register with them.
Okay.
So beautiful. They will come around for inspection of the facility. They do that about 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
Before you're
so the facility approved. Is the first thing before you even go ahead to register.
Yes. Okay. You need a facility.
You need a facility. Yes. Okay. A well-equipped facility.
Well-equipped. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So you were telling our viewers something.
Yes. So I was going to say that rescuing vulnerable children or orphans starts with every individual. It starts with the heart.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. So if I do my part, if you play your part, everybody decides to play their part, then we can have a better community and a better, sweet Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oladero.
It's a pleasure.
You've heard it all. Try to brighten the corner where you are. Wherever you find yourself, make sure you try as much as you can to do the right thing so that we can have a better country, we can have a better Nigeria. Till we meet next time, bye. Thank you.
Thank you.